Oregon because Beverly is also a physician, and she interned at a hospital in Portland, Oregon. So I'll let her introduce herself.
Well, hello to all of Mario's friends. I feel very honored to be on Mario's video. I have really stayed home for the past 25 years raising kids, and now I've ventured off to have a nice trip, and it's been more than I ever hoped for. We started off staying in the hotels, and then we ventured off into youth hostels, and then we came to stay with a SERVAS host, and Mario is our second host, and it's been just marvelous. I want to become a traveler, and I want to go home, and I want to learn more about where I live so I can be a good host. It's been just an eye-opening experience for me, and I never realized there were so many people who just traveled for weeks and months at a time. And SERVAS is just a dream. Like it's wonderful that there are so many people out there willing to share their lives, open up their hearts and their homes for people to stay in. It just really gives you a good feeling, a real hope for humanity. We have two sons who are in college now, and I think soon as they're no longer home for the summers that we can be hosts ourselves, and the world will come to our door. What could be better than that? Sam and I have done some local traveling and camping in Oregon, and we've been to Canada and Mexico. And this summer we're going to go home and we're going to go out on the ocean on a pelagic birding trip. We have friends who bird, and we go off about 20, 30 miles onto the ocean and see pelagic birds, which are birds that only come to land to nest. And later in September of this year, we'll go to Hawk Mountain in Nevada with Hawk International. The hawks are counted and banded there. They put up huge big nets, and they throw up a little dicky bird, and the hawks come down to get it, and they pull that little dicky bird down fast, and the hawk lands in a net, and then they're weighed and banded. And that's part of my life. And I hope that those of you watching it will come to visit us in Oregon. And my email is Tigger, Tigger, at Cody, CODY, .com, COM.
Yeah, we first.
Do you like Würzburg? Or
Like what?
Würzburg.
Oh yes. We came to Würzburg 2 days ago, and we called two people, and they weren't home, and the third person we called was Mario, and by luck he just came from town and said we were welcome, and I'm glad that he did because I really enjoyed my stay here with Mario. I have learned more about Germany being in this home than I've learned in a long time, especially about East Germany. And I was glad to see a video that Mario showed about the October 9th uh, uh, demonstrations that started the change in the East Germany to tear down the wall. And I am so impressed with that it's sort of emotionally uplifting, and I have learned more about the German people since I've been here than I've known in a long time. And that's why I think SERVAS is an excellent way to do that, because living out of hotels and even out of youth hostels, you don't learn about the people. And by doing it this way, living in their home and talking to them, you learn about not only the people but the country that they live in. and their personalities and their customs. And I've sure really enjoyed visiting here with Mario. We got to see the city uh, today. Um, we visited the residence and the cathedral, and I really enjoyed having dinner with Mario. He's a good cook. He says he makes his bratwurst black, but they weren't really charcoal. They came out very good. Uh, I enjoyed my stay here. And he opened up a special bottle of wine that was local, and I'm really enjoying it. Plus, we brought out some chocolate, and so we're having chocolate and wine. Uh, I sure appreciate you, Mario, for inviting us, and I can't thank you enough for the experience that I've had here. And I hope we continue to keep in touch. And if you're ever in Oregon, you're always welcome to come and stay with us as long as you want.
Thank you, Mario. You've changed our lives. You're a good man.
Thank you.
The other thing that I found interesting was uh, Mario told us about his job, and he brought out some pamphlets that demonstrated what kind of work he does. And again, this is something that you'll never experience unless you stay in a home and visit with the people. We also visited with a person in Freiburg. It was his first SERVAS and our first SERVAS, and he was fantastic. He had to go to work. He was a nurse in a hospital, but he opened the house for us, and uh, he showed us around town, which was fantastic. Uh, and these are the kinds of things that I hope I can continue to do. Um, I'm sorry that I didn't know about SERVAS earlier because this makes traveling much easier and more educational.
That's all I have to say.
That's all?
That's all. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you.
Okay.
Eve Alexander. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is about as far west as you can go in Canada, in case you're thinking of coming to visit us. And today is Sunday, what is it, July the 28th, 1996. I've been here with Mario since Friday. And as everybody knows who's met Mario either as a host or as a guest, he's a fantastic and interesting person who's willing to share everything, including making videos. This, I suppose, is so far the highlight of my trip. I'd like to tell you just about the part of my trip which is involving SERVAS. Basically, my SERVAS part of this trip started in Frankfurt. And you might be wondering why the garb. The garb is because I am traveling on a bicycle. Now, I am sure Service has had, or I'm sorry, I meant to say, I've blown it. My name is Eve Alexander, and I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And I came here on Friday night to visit with Mario, and it's now Sunday evening, and I'm leaving tomorrow morning. And as everybody knows who's had Mario as a guest or has as a or has visited him, lots of fun to be with and has all these great ideas of how to keep busy. Currently, how to make a video. My video actually has two parts. The first part is connected to this get-up. And this get-up, as I'm sure you can all tell, is my bicycle helmet to keep uh, my melon, they call it where I come from, in case I bash into something, and also this thing, which is to make sure that people can see me. I wear all of these things because of my children who force me out of the house and say, Mom, you have to wear a helmet. And then I refused to pay $25 for this because I thought it was a terrible price. So my daughter went and bought it and handed me the bill. So now I have it, so now I look like a street cleaner. But my point about this is that I am having a great time bicycling around Germany. I have previously bicycled in Ireland and France and Sweden and, of course, at home. Um, and Germany is as good as any of them. Oh, of course, I forgot last year was Denmark. I thought Denmark was the greatest place in the world to bicycle. Well, I want you to know I have bicycled almost all the way from Frankfurt to Würzburg, all the way up the River Main. Now, the funny thing about the River Main is that I was told by a host on the Rhine that going up the Rhine was just as easy as going down it, because that's what he was going to do. Well, I spent 2 days coming up the Main, and I swear I can see the rise in the road. So just to prove it, I'm planning to leave tomorrow morning from Würzburg back to Frankfurt going down. And I'm expecting just to take my feet off the pedals and coast all the way down to Frankfurt, except for a few bumps. So I just am overwhelmed with the way Germany treats its bicyclists. I have found the drivers polite, courteous, they wait for me, they are patient. Mind you, I stay off the freeways. Well, autobahns you call them here, don't you? But I couldn't believe it. Frankfurt, the whole day from Frankfurt, I never did see very many villages because the bike trail is right beside the river. So even without anything much more than the car map that I have, I've managed to get to Würzburg all in one piece. I did take the last little bit by train because I was running out of time and I was a bit tired, but I'm just amazed. Now, that's the first part of my talk. The second part comes with something else that I did to get ready to visit with families in Germany. So we'll change in a moment, take off this garb and get into this part two. Bicycling around Denmark last summer, I had only one major problem. I found I could not communicate with the children because I knew no Danish, and they don't start learning English until they're 8 or 9. And this is a bit of a problem when you're being a guest in other people's houses. So I anticipated this problem in Germany this summer, and I thought, seeing as I've done puppets in one way or another for about 30 years, I could perhaps use some of my knowledge to make it easier to establish a little bit of a bond with some of the children. And I have actually done this little project on the Rhine a couple of weeks ago in a house which had a little girl who was aged 8. Now, this is what it is. I went to the Goethe Institute in Vancouver, looked through their books of children's stories, and to my joy, I found this story, which you'll all soon recognize, I'm sure, made very famous by the Brothers Grimms. So, next thing I did was go to my children again, who do things like keep me in bicycle helmets and safety things, and they all have more talented art than I have. And I said, and I'm not going to pretend to say this in Deutsch. I needed a rooster, a donkey, a cat, dog, and 2 robbers. All of which they made. They also made me a lovely forest and a house. So I think you all now know that we are talking about the Bremen Town musicians. Most important of all this was I have a friend who also does puppets in the puppet guild I belong to in Vancouver, named Dirk Ortel. Now, Dirk spent the first, I don't know, 20 years of his life in Germany before he emigrated to Canada about 40 years ago. And I gave him the book, and he went home. And actually, he went to another friend's house who has, what is it, 8-track? And together, they taped the narration of the Bremerton musicians. So when I go into a home, I put the tape on. I I have listened to this tape so often I sort of know when things happen, and I perform the play for the children. And what happened the last time I did it, then the second time the children perform it, and then in this particular case, one of the little girls went and started making these puppets on her own and made a little house. So before we knew it, we had children making the puppets. I also took it into a grade 3 classroom and just went through it twice. The second time I had the children using the puppets, and it seems to me it's fairly successful as an icebreaker in homes where I have learned a little bit of German, but not enough to really communicate with children. So now we'll just put on the tape, and you can see a bit of this.
Es hatte ein Mann einen Esel, der schon lange Jahre die Säcke unverdrossen zur Mühle getragen hatte. Nun gingen aber seine Kräfte zu Ende und er wurde zur Arbeit immer untauglicher. Da dachte sein Herr daran, ihn aus dem Futter zu schaffen. Bald merkte der Esel, dass kein guter Wind wehte. Er lief fort und machte sich auf den Weg nach Bremen. Dort, so meinte er, könnte er Stadtmusikant werden. Als er ein Weilchen gegangen war, fand er einen Jagdhund auf dem Wege liegen. Der japste wie einer, der sich müde gelaufen hatte. Nun, was schnaufst du denn so, Packhahn? Fragte der Esel. Sagte der Hund, weil ich alt bin und jeden Tag schwächer werde, auch auf der Jagd nicht mehr fort kann, hat mich mein Herr totschlagen wollen. Da habe ich Eis ausgenommen. Aber womit soll ich nur mein Brot verdienen? Weißt du was? Sprach der Esel. Ich gehe nach Bremen und werde dort Stadtmusikant. Geh mit mir und lass dich auch bei der Musik aufnehmen. Ich spiele die Laute und du schlägst die Pauken. Der Hund war zufrieden und sie gingen weiter.
Okay, now we can break it there.
Es dauerte nicht lange, da saß eine, flog der Hahn hinauf und setzte sich der Katze auf den Kopf. Wie das geschehen war, fingen sie auf ein Zeichen an, zusammen alle zu musizieren und ihre Musik zu machen. Der Esel schrie, ja, ja! Der Hund bellte, Die Katze, die miaute, miau, miau. Und der Hahn krähte, igriki, igriki. Durch das Fenster in die Stube hinein, dass die Scherben klirrten. Die Räuber fuhren bei dem entsetzlichen Geschrei in die Höhe, malten ein Gespenst im herein und flohen in größter Furcht in den Wald hinaus. Nun setzten sich die 4 Gesellen an den Tisch, nahmen mit dem Vorlieb, was übrig geblieben war, und aßen, als wenn sie
from one of the burgs of the state of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. And we're visiting some of the burgs of Germany, like Duisburg, Freiburg, Würzburg, and several other burgs. And before we proceed any further, having just looked at some of your other performers on your program, I would like to say that I fully agree with what one of the former speakers said about what a great advantage it is to travel with SERVAS. We've traveled with and without SERVAS hosts, and it makes all the difference in a trip to have hosts who you can visit with, who give you advice, who offer you hospitality, kindness, friendship, and to go to a cold, impersonal hotel where nobody knows you and there's nothing to do but sit in a room and either look at a newspaper or TV, which we can do at home without traveling thousands of miles away. So we can't say enough good about the advantages of having SERVAS hosts. We're both hosts and travelers, and we welcome all SERVAS travelers to come and visit us in the burg of Pittsburgh, a scenic and interesting city. We want to thank you for all the hospitality that you've offered us, Mario, especially considering the fact that you're employed full time and that after you spend a day at work, you were kind enough to come and greet us at the station and take us for a scenic ride to look over your beautiful city here in Würzburg. That meant a lot to us, and so does all the subsequent hospitality that you showed us and the trip that you helped us plan to see on our own. So we're very grateful to you. I'd also like to say, Mario, that you're an inspiration. It isn't very often that a person meets someone of your age who has realized so many of their dreams so young in their life. You have freed yourself from a ruthless and oppressive tyranny and established yourself in a free Western democracy with a fine job, a beautiful apartment, a sporty car, and you have traveled so extensively, much more so than many people have in an entire lifetime. You are a real example of a self-made man, and we are delighted to have had the opportunity to get acquainted with you. We want to urge you to come to Pittsburgh where we can show you some hospitality. Ray, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, I'm afraid you said it all, Ruth. We had an excellent dinner in the beer garden tonight. I had a substantial amount of beer, and I feel quite relaxed about the whole operation. I can only concur with everything you have said and say au revoir, goodbye, Wiedersehen to Mario. Thank you, Mario. Over and out. That's all. Hey, she did it all.
Okay.
Okay, it's been a delight to be with you and to share your lovely home.
Was the steel and coal capital of America, you might say, of the Western world, at least the Allies during the war. It's comparable to the Ruhrgebiet in Germany, and there are a lot of similarities between the condition of the two areas. Pittsburgh has changed from a coal and steel community into one that's now still is in coal and steel, but more on a worldwide basis as a as a global company, but is doing a lot now in the medical field. Is a very big world center for for transplants and also in electronics. They have a lot of software company. Carnegie Mellon is a major contributor to the in that particular field. So the readjustment is doing very well for Pittsburgh, and There are also the question on employment and so on, which are quite similar to the one we heard exist in the Ruhrgebiet in Germany. So some of our Versailles hosts in Germany who have been working in the steel industry were quite interested now in maybe visiting Pittsburgh to see what's going on. That's much more could be said about it, but it's a very very important type of very important problem, which are not particular to Pittsburgh. They are the same all over in France too. They have the similar problem in the heavy industry and in
Puis hier soir, Marie-Claude et Claude, on arrive de Maine-et-Loire après un périple en Allemagne. Et depuis 8 ans que nous sommes à SERVAS, nous avons été vraiment étonnés par l'originalité de l'accueil et l'enthousiasme de Mario. Et pour nous, ce sera un souvenir vraiment très marquant de notre virée en Allemagne. Et de plus, hier soir, nous sommes arrivés vers 6 heures et il a eu l'amabilité de nous emmener en voiture pour nous donner la possibilité de voir la ville depuis la montagne, et ça, c'est une très très bonne idée. Alors je passe la parole à ma femme qui va rentrer dans certains détails.
Merci. Alors je suis donc Marie-Claude, et pourquoi nous sommes venus en Allemagne, je vais vous l'expliquer. Nous sommes allés aux Caraïbes où nous avons fait la connaissance d'une famille martiniquaise qui avait une jeune fille qui terminait ses études.
SERVAS.
Une jeune fille SERVAS, une famille SERVAS, bien sûr. Et cette jeune fille est venue étudier à Paris. Et elle est venue plusieurs fois chez nous, à Angers, sur les bords de la Loire, où nous habitons. Et cette année, elle a épousé un Allemand dans la ville de Hildesheim. Et elle nous a proposé de venir à son mariage. Alors, nous étions en vacances dans le sud de la France, au bord de la Méditerranée, et nous sommes venus donc à ce mariage à Hildesheim. Un mariage qui était fort amusant puisqu'il y avait des Allemands et des gens de la Martinique, très colorés, des Français de la Martinique. Et c'était très sympathique de voir ces deux peuples, français et allemands, qui se réunissaient autour des jeunes mariés. Nous avons vu les coutumes allemandes à la sortie du temple. Ils ont scié une bûche de bois. Ensuite, on leur a offert le champagne. Et c'est quelque chose que nous n'avons pas en France. Il y a eu une fête très agréable. Et pour venir à ce mariage, nous avons visité plusieurs familles SERVAS. À Hildesheim, où il avait lieu, nous étions les hôtes d'une famille SERVAS qui nous a reçus très très gentiment pendant 4 jours. Et cette famille parlait très bien le français, si bien que nous n'avons pas eu d'effort à faire. Alors, nous en avons profité pour visiter Hildesheim et une ravissante petite ville qui s'appelle Goslar, que nous avons vraiment aimé. Alors, ensuite, nous avons continué notre voyage en allant sur Berlin. Là, nous avons été reçus par une SERVAS pendant 2 nuits et nous en avons profité pour visiter Berlin. Son accueil a été également très chaleureux. Mais voilà. Nous avons visité Potsdam, qui est une ville ravissante également, enfin un quartier de Berlin plutôt. Et nous devions aller ensuite à Bayreuth, dans une famille, mais ces personnes nous ont prévenus quelques jours avant notre passage qu'il était impossible de venir parce qu'il venait de déménager. J'ai donc téléphoné en catastrophe à Mario, qui a eu la gentillesse de nous accueillir vraiment chaleureusement et sans lui envoyer de lettres, sans rien, juste en lui demandant par téléphone est-ce que nous pouvons venir à Würzburg. Nous avions vu que Würzburg était une ville très, très jolie, très intéressante à visiter, avec un beau château et pas mal de monuments. Donc nous sommes arrivés à Würzburg. Nous repartirons demain matin en direction de Rothenburg ob der Taube. On nous a dit que c'était une ville moyenâgeuse très, très belle et très intéressante à visiter. Et après, nous continuerons notre